Everyone, again, thank you for joining. As we kick this off, we're going to start off with the event guidelines. With me is Prerna, and my name is Rajib. We'll go over the event guidelines, followed by the agenda, and then we'll kick things off. So here are the event guidelines. Video, you will not appear in the video. This event is mute courtesy, which means your audio will be muted during the event. But don't worry, if you have questions, make sure you submit your questions in the Q&A section of the chat. It's at the bottom of your screen. Make sure you put it under Q&A, or else we will not be able to see it. Closed captioning is available for this event. To turn it on, just click on the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. All right, and now we're going to talk about the agenda for our update. We're going to go through a quick round of introductions, followed by 2022 insights and trends that I'll be sharing. We're going to then jump into the half of 2022 updates. That's both things that we've actually released is coming up, and that's coming down later in the quarters. And Prerna is going to be sharing that, followed by our Q&A session. But let's start off with the introduction. My name is Rajib Ahmed. I'm the CTO and CPO here at Meetup. I joined in October. Huge soccer fan. I have a couple of, I organize a soccer group here as well as a Bangladeshis in tech group. Love Meetup. This is a part of my life, and I live through it every day. I'll hand it off to Prerna to introduce herself.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Prerna. I'm the VP of Product. I lead the product and design teams here at Meetup. I have been here slightly longer than Rajiv. I think I beat him by a month or two. And I, too, have been a longtime Meetup organizer. I organize a tech and entrepreneurship group for my alumni network here in New York City, and like Rajiv, live and breathe Meetup a lot. So excited to be with you all today and talk a little bit more about what we've been up to.
Great, Prerna. All right, so I'm going to start off with a few insights from 2022. So these are more trends that we've been seeing since Jan 1st, and what we'll start with is IRL events. We're seeing that since COVID started, we've actually turned around how many folks are joining events and events created that are happening in real life. IRL is, for those that don't know, that's their acronym. I'll be repeating that. It does stand for in real life. 2 years ago, we were at 29% in real life when COVID hit. Most of the events were online, and we're seeing that it is shaping to be now 71% IRL events, of which 79% of folks that are RSVPing today are going to in-person events. That does not mean that online events are not important for us. It will continue to be. We're just seeing a shift that's happening there. Another thing that is a great insight that's happening is we're seeing more traffic come into Meetup than ever before. From 2 years ago, we're up 30% in overall web traffic. That's on desktop, it's on web, it's on tablet. On all fronts, we're seeing heavy increases, which we'll touch lightly upon later. So really good positive signs from how events and IRL is growing, as well as web traffic. Next. All right, we are also seeing a huge number of our platform being leveraged to find groups and events. We've had over 25.7 million searches done to date for this year, and 1.1 million events that were created since Jan 1st. So again, a lot more events are happening, a lot of search activity happening to discover these events. And at the end of the day, a lot of RSVPs coming into these events that are coming on all places. So just incredible, holy cow, 1.1 million and growing. So this is very exciting for 2022. And the last part that I'll share is just some fun insights. We have 14.8 million app installs that have started since Jan 1st. This is not all time, just starting this year in 2022. It's a crazy amount of app installs that we're getting. We're seeing month over month this just rocketing. So very excited to share this number, and we'll share a little bit more in the future of what's happening in apps. And just since Jan 1st, we've sent 653 million notifications. That includes notifications that are coming in emails. It includes push notifications that are going to our app users. So lots of activity to help our members and our organizers come back into our platform and re-engage. So I know I touched on different areas over here, which are some just fun insights that I wanted to start off with, but I will talk a little bit more about search as it's so core to our system. So next slide. So our search is a core piece of our product. It sits at the center, allowing for new members to find their groups. It allows them to find events and ultimately RSVP for them, allowing us to really build our communities. In 2022, we're actively working on multiple areas to enhance this. So one of these is improving our matching capabilities. And the second is improving relevancy and how we make those areas more discoverable for our members to ultimately find these events more. So let's look at some of the feedback that we've gotten in how we're thinking about areas that we're going to be solving for. So I'll talk through a few of these. I'll read through just one or two. I live in the US on the border of Canada, and I keep getting search results recommendations for events in Canada. So this is someone that's in the US. For those that are not familiar, Canada borders the US, and currently they're seeing a lot more events that they can't actually go to. So it's a critical feedback that I think we've heard over and over, not just in the US and Canada, but in multiple areas, multiple cities when you're dealing with larger metros. So it's something that we know is important. The second one I'll share is if you are based in a large city, New York, London, etc., it is currently difficult to search for nearby events in areas outside of your center. So depending on where you are, or if you're looking for a different area, if you're in large metro areas where there's a lot of groups, lots of events, it's very difficult to find that. So we want to make that easier. So we're going to be taking steps to do that, which I'll chat about in a few slides. So next. Another thing that we are looking at is the area around relevance. And one of the complaints that has come in is that when you're sorting and you're looking at the relevance and the quality, it's not as obvious. The default sort is nebulous. It has no definition. It's very tricky to understand. Someone also mentioned that when they have a social is part of their group, but as group search is happening and social isn't showing up, they don't understand why. How does our things work to surface that? So we're looking into shaping these as well. So the next few slides, I'll cover what we're doing for these. These are very critical things that are really important for our search. And I want to just share what we're doing on multiple fronts to help solve for these. So the first one, location updates. We're going to make sure that we use precise location detection. Today, we do good, but we need to do better. And that means that we are trying to find events and groups that are much, much closer to you and narrowing it down. We're taking our algorithms and actually evolving how we establish the rank based on the areas and distances. So we are incorporating new neighborhood data into our systems, figuring out how to now change our rankings so that they give the best results. And looking to understand how that plays a role in larger cities versus smaller cities in how we actually evaluate this. One of the things that we of course want to do as part of location is make sure that members can also filter by locations around them. So we are going to advance that to, you can see nearby locations, you can see other neighborhoods that are near you to be able to do that. Maps is a critical feedback that we've gotten. Why can't I look through maps for all the groups or events that are near me? How can we surface that? If I could draw a map, then I'll be able to see more things and have a lot more control. Again, all of these are underway, but a series of things has to happen before the maps can actually show those things. And these are things that we're executing on. Next slide. So along that on search, we're also looking at relevancy related to just boosting how results are more relevant. Today, if you have a group and there's tags there and there's an event that you're creating and there's topics and tags there, we're combining those information more independently and together to surface better relevancy when searches are done. We believe this is a huge opportunity. This is already in flight. And probably in the next few months, you're going to be part of a live test where we're split testing in production before we roll this out to make sure that we don't do any harm, improve, but also make it better. We're also going to add different types of filters in order to do this, but also sort out all the confusion of how filters work today. I think at times some folks are thinking some things are sorting, other times they're using it as a filter, and we want to make those things much more obvious. And the last thing is, I think from our data team, we're looking at just using NLP technologies in order to make our searches better, to do more semantic matching, if you will. And the last part about it is matching. There's a lot of data that we learn, but we are putting in some deep learning techniques that helps our data learn from itself and what's happening to make sure that search results and things that are coming back are of the utmost importance and valuable. And of course, at the end of the day, there's a lot of spam and negative things that come in with search. we continue to look at how we can exclude those and ensure that our search results stay good and positive. At the end of the day, we want to balance also new organizers that are creating groups and events along with existing ones that have great search results today. So we're going to make sure on both sides that we're solving it and not harming one versus the other. So on that note, I'm going to jump on to the next section, which talks about notifications. Prerna, if you could click that twice. All right, notifications. So this is a huge component of how we deliver success for our communities. It allows members to get up-to-date information about the events, things that they're interested in, discover new areas that they are not members of the groups yet, but may be curious on. And so we know notifications plays a huge role on this. On the next slide, I'll share some feedback we've received and the things that we're doing here. So a couple of feedback that we know comes as a theme. I suddenly started getting reminder emails again. I said I didn't want them. How do we get control over this? The second one is really about, it's nearly midnight on the 10th. It seems that the reminder notifications on Meetup that I've scheduled for my upcoming event hasn't gone out. And the last one is, I almost never look at my notifications. Like many others, I rely on my emails. So we know that the emails and the push notifications are things that get a lot of visibility. We want to make sure that they are delivered and that everyone is seeing them, as it ultimately drives engagement that drives our community to a healthy state. So on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing. So one, we're giving facelifts to all of our templates, and this will allow our core emails to be more responsive, be more quality driven, and more UI friendly. That allows us to be able to just get more engagement and drive more click-throughs that come to us. This includes the event announcement and our event reminders. Event reminders, we do have a legacy system that we've migrated majority of our emails over from and into newer systems that are more reliable. Event reminders is one of those that is now moving over, and in the next few months we're going to see this coming over, which allows us to have reminders that are always going out on time based on geos and delivering at the right moments where we want them to do that. The next thing is personalization. We have a lot of templates that we use for marketing and transactional emails. Some of these are for suggested events that we think are right for you. A lot of messages that we give for recommendations of groups. We're going to be looking to enhance those by looking at the activity that's happening from the member, where they've showcased interest in different things, where they get to explain that to us in the apps by sharing the interests, putting cues in that can allow them to actually give us that information willingly. And that allows us to feed our personalization engine to be able to surface these on different areas. And the last thing is, though we're talking about notifications, we know that you also need it in product. So we're going to make sure that in product these are surfaced and that we can see them, and that our members and organizers have a way to learn from this as we go forward. All right, I'm going to jump into our audience. This is a small section just talking about some of the lifts that we mentioned before. So I'll just talk through this a little bit. We know that our web traffic overall has increased by 30% from the COVID point, but it has continually even increased year over year. We're seeing the direction that all of our traffic is going towards is mobile web and going towards mobile apps. We're seeing a 22% mobile web traffic increase year over year. That's continuing to grow. We're seeing 32% of app activity. Our apps is a super highly engaged platform that both organizers and members are now a part of. We're seeing a 40% growth of organizers that are also downloaded the apps and consuming that. We're realizing that is a continuous flow that our momentum is taking us, with a huge focus on mobile web and native apps. And that's going to continue to help drive us forward. So I know I've mentioned a lot of insights and different trends. I'm going to hand it over to Prerna to talk about some of the updates that we've done and the things that we're going to continue to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Rajib. So like Rajib mentioned today, what I want to do is highlight a few of the big projects that we've shipped in the last few months, broken out by what we shipped on web, what went out for pro customers, and then lastly, updates from our mobile apps team. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, I want to talk a little bit about our logged in homepage. If you've attended a few of these product updates before, you know that we've spent a lot of time working to get this page right for you all. We've heard from a lot of you that our previous iteration didn't quite hit the mark, especially with the lack of a calendar feature that so many of you use to find events from your groups. So we brought it back, and we've received a lot of really positive feedback since then. We also saw the design of this particular iteration improve the RSVP conversion rate. So we know we're on the right path there. And we're using this new homepage layout to also, we're using it as really a canvas to continue to make further improvements to both the organizer and member experience. And you'll see a few of those updates coming up in the next couple of slides. Oops, jumping ahead. Another feature that we recently launched was the ability for organizers to add rich text to both event and group home on both the web, as well as our new organizer app, which I'll be talking about in just a few slides. So you are now able to bold, italics, bullet, number, and hyperlink your text in both the event and group descriptions. We also added the ability to embed a video from either YouTube or Vimeo to your group's homepage. So you'll be able to better market your groups when people are checking out your group homepage. In addition, we also increased the character count to 5,000 characters on Event Home. So you should have plenty of space now to provide your members with the details that they need for your event. This was a widely requested feature, so we're really happy that we can support this ability now. Next up, another feature we recently reintroduced was the ability for members to auto-sync their RSVPs to their personal calendars like Google Calendar or iCal. And this is just really important just to make sure that members remember to show up to events that they've RSVP'd to. It's obviously very important for organizers that they have members remember to come to their events. So excited that we were, again, able to get this particular feature out. Next up, we have the indoor and outdoor filters. So if some of you might remember from last time, in response to COVID-19, we introduced the ability for organizers to indicate if their event was indoors or outdoors. Recently, we took all of that information and we added a filter to our Find search page on both web and apps so that members can now easily discover events that are either indoors or outdoors. We've seen a pretty decent increase in RSVPs for those who are using this filter. And our expectation is that as the weather is getting warmer in several parts of the world, including here in the US, we expect more folks to start using the outdoor filter to find events outside. So for those of you who are organizers on this call, continue to mark your events as either indoors or outdoors, as it will help with making your event more discoverable. And then lastly, from the website, we've also been working on improving the experience for new organizers. We know that there's a lot to do in the early days as an organizer, and it can seem a little overwhelming. So in order to make, in order to enable organizers to be successful on our platform, we've created a more guided onboarding experience, including adding a checklist and showing you sort of your progress through all of the tasks that you need to do. We've seen a significant impact in the number of new organizers who've been able to create and host their first event. And we're excited to continue to support new organizers as they start their journey on Meetup through more helpful content and education. From the pro side, for our pro organizers, we introduced the ability for members to view a pro network page on the mobile apps. Now, this is really important for the discovery of pro groups, as a lot of engagement and activity is happening on the mobile apps, as Rajib had mentioned earlier. So we want to make sure that our pro networks can also be found by our members, no matter what platform they're accessing Meetup on. Another update from the pro team is we made some improvements to the pro dashboard. We improved the filtering and results on the pro dashboard members tab, specifically updating the role filter and adding what roles a member in your network has for any group that they're a part of in this dashboard view. This was a really a top feature request from a lot of our pro customers, So we're hoping that for the pro organizers that are on this call, it'll make it easy to understand who's on your leadership team across all of the different groups in your network. And from our mobile apps team, they've released a bunch of stuff. So I'm only just calling out this one highlight, and a lot of the features that we talked about releasing on the web were also released on the apps, but specifically for the apps, I wanted to call this this particular release out. We introduced the ability for interests to be edited on the member app. Now, this is really important that members have this ability because, as Rajib mentioned earlier, we want to ensure that we're providing members with the highest quality event and group recommendations based on their interests. So it's really important that members keep those interests updated and so that we can provide those relevant recommendations. We've also made an update to the member profile, so you can now see which email you're signed into for those of you who have multiple Meetup accounts like myself. So that's a good chunk of what we've released in the last few months. But what I really want to focus on are some of our upcoming releases, because we have a whole host of things that we've been working on for several months now, and I'm excited to share those with you. So first up, I want to share some news about the Organizer app. Many of you have probably heard us talk about this for several months now, and some of you have even helped us beta test the org app, but I'm excited to share that the Meetup Organizer app will be available on the App Store starting May 12th. That's next week for those of you who are keeping track. And I want to share a little bit more information. So here to tell you a little bit more about what's going on in the app and what features we're releasing is Caitlin, who is one of Meetup's designers. So let me try playing this video and see if it works for you all.
Hi there, my name is Caitlin and I'm a lead product designer here at Meetup. Today I'm excited to give you a quick tour in our new app, Meetup for Organizers. When you open the app, the first thing you will see is the group info screen. This screen is a quick overview of your group that includes basic information, upcoming, past, and draft events, and blog tips for hosting a great event. You will also be able to access your profile from this screen. If you organize more than one group, you will be able to access them via the group list located in the upper left button. This list will display any group in which you have a leadership role. Let's go ahead and navigate to the Brooklyn Book Club. Again, this group screen you will see basic information and events list. If I tap an event, I will be taken to the event info screen. As you may notice, this event page looks pretty different from event pages on the Meetup app and on the website. That's because this page is optimized for organizers to quickly see, manage, and edit event attendees and details. One of our biggest goals with the Organizer app was creating a flow that allows for organizers to publish events in a matter of seconds. Watch how quickly I can copy this event and create a new one. I simply tap Manage Event, Copy Event, and update the date and time, and I'm ready to publish. Some added features in the new Organizer app is the ability to repeat an event. And we also now offer event fees within the app. Both of these features were previously only available on meetup.com. Once I have all the settings set, I simply publish the event, and voila, I have another exciting event for my group. Going back to the group info screen, I also have the ability to create a brand new event or copy a past event from this group using this red button here. You can either create a brand new event or copy an event.
All right, well, that was just a very quick preview that Caitlin provided us, but we hope that you're all excited for the app as much as we are. We have several plans for adding many, many more features, so please do download the app and give us feedback on what you'd like to see.
Hi there, my name is...
I always do this. Okay, next up, one second. Launching this week on web and in a couple of weeks on the app is the return of another highly requested feature. It's the ability to feature or pin events on your group's home. We know that sometimes as an organizer, you want to drive special attention to maybe a big event that's coming up, but sometimes it just gets lost in the shuffle of other upcoming events that you might have already scheduled. So now with this feature, you can pin a given event to the top of the list, top of the upcoming events list, which will be indicated by that purple featured events tag that you see in the screenshot on the right. So we're excited to bring this back and continue to iterate on this based on what you all have to say. Next up, I think we've previewed this particular feature with a lot of you, but we're excited to be rolling this out. We're excited to be rolling out event chat to organizers starting late May and going into the summer. Event chat is an easy way for organizers and members who are attending an event to connect with each other and share updates before, during, and even after an event. So I want to show you a quick demo of how it works. Play this video and I'll narrate this time. So event chat will be available as soon as a member RSVPs, both on the member app as well as on the web. As you can see, the chat is real time and you can see who's typing, when the message was sent, and if it was delivered and seen by those that were in the chat. We have additional fun features like emoji reactions, so you can have lightweight ways to engage with folks in the chat as well. There you go. And you can also reply directly to messages as well as attach files or photos, which are all helpful. Let's say if you're trying to coordinate a bunch of people to meet in a specific location, or trying to share helpful information that's relevant at that particular time. So real-time chat will be, I think, a huge lift for a lot of folks who are looking for something that they can use to chat with their members in the moment. So we're excited to be rolling this out in the next few weeks and months ahead. Next up, I think this was also previewed at a previous product update, but one of the areas we've been focusing on is how we can continue to bring new and improved tools to organizers, like a lot of you on this call, to help you run your communities more effectively, including helping out with some of the costs that might be associated with running a meetup group. I know for the meetup group that I run, we rely a lot on voluntary member contributions to help fund the food and drinks at each of our events. So I'm excited to particularly share this feature where we're introducing a feature called basically a tip jar, where members can leave a tip of any amount for, let's say, an event well run, or to just show their appreciation for the meetup organizer. All funds will go directly to the organizer themselves. We're hoping to roll this out by the end of the month and going into early June on both the web and apps. For the initial release, you can collect money just for your group, but eventually our plan is that you can set up multiple campaigns for different causes, including being able to run fundraising campaigns for nonprofits. So there's a lot more here to come, but we're excited to roll this first iteration out to make it easier for organizers to continue to support their communities. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about attendance taking. I think it's come up several times in conversations that I've had with organizers, and I think there was a question here earlier as well. So later this summer, we're expecting to roll out a new version of attendance taking on the org app specifically. Eventually, our plans are to make it onto the web as well. We know this is a highly requested feature from a lot of you, and it's pretty cumbersome today. We spoke to several of you, and many of you rely on very manual methods, which we totally understand and know that there's a lot of room to improve. The org app will streamline your ability to check in your members or maybe even add guests on the fly with all of the information that you need at the tip of your fingers, including who's paid or who's not paid. The design that you see there is obviously not final, but it's meant to give you an idea of what you can expect to be coming into the org app pretty soon. So lots more to come here. This is just a taste of one of the features that we're planning to add to the org app shortly after launch. Okay, so that's it from the product update side, but there's so much more ahead, and I've only shared, like I said, a small glimpse of what we have in the works. We're really excited for these upcoming releases. There's a lot that goes into building everything that you just saw and that you heard about today. So I want to share some resources about how you can continue to be involved. If you're looking to get involved, we're always looking to speak to more organizers and members. You'll be the first to see new designs, provide direction on new concepts that we're exploring, and overall just be very critical to making our platform better. If you're interested in signing up for a session, please fill out this form. We'll drop the link in the comments. And I want to thank, honestly, so many of you who have signed up using this form, and you've given us a ton of valuable feedback, specifically on the org app already. And I hope you'll see that difference when you download the org app and give it a try for yourself. Also, I know we do these updates every now and then, but if you are looking to hear what we've been up to on a more regular basis, we are publishing all of our product releases and updates to Meetup's blog at that link there. Again, we'll post that in the comments as well. Feel free to bookmark it and check it regularly for what we've been working on. I think there's also a link to it included in the organizer newsletter if you are subscribed to that as well. And then I always have to make this plug, but we're always hiring. Specifically, right now I'm hiring for a senior PM to join our team, specifically to work on our mobile apps. As Rajib mentioned, a big focus of our efforts this year is very mobile centric. So if you have experience building mobile apps and are interested in joining us here at Meetup, please do reach out. We also have multiple engineering roles open as well as across the company. So check out the careers page. If you have any questions or want to learn more, or maybe even have referrals, please reach out to Rajib or myself. We'd love to hear from you. And I would be amiss if I didn't actually make a plug to become an organizer. One of the most rewarding parts of the Meetup platform for me, as I know it's been for Rajib, has to actually be an organizer. And organizers are the backbone of Meetup. So if you're interested in trying it out, we do have a 30% off discount code off of your first subscription payment, and you can use that link to claim that. And then lastly, plug for our CEO, David Siegel's podcast called Keep Connected. David continues to just do an amazing job of talking about the power of community and building relationships and insights and learnings that he's had from building Meetup. So if you're interested in hearing from him, please subscribe to the podcast. You can go to meetuppodcast.com or use that QR code, which I will leave there for a few more seconds. And of course, I want to just wrap up by saying we are so grateful that you took the time out of your day to attend this particular session. As always, Rajib and I are very open to questions that you might have, feedback that you might have for us. We're leaving this email, productfeedback@meetup.com. Please definitely reach out to us if there's features that you'd like to see. We do check this and might even reply if we have other additional follow-ups that we might have. If you have a very specific support question, however, though, please do reach out to our wonderful ComEx team. They can definitely handle more acute situations. But if you need to reach Rajib and myself for just regular product feedback, definitely use that email, and we'll drop that in the chat too. Thank you all for listening and joining us today. We're super grateful, as I mentioned, to have this opportunity to share our progress with you. And with that, I think we can open up for a few questions at this time.
All right. Prerna, great job. I'm so pumped. There's so many things that we've released and so many things that are upcoming. It's just a very exciting time to be in Meetup. Again, I'm just going to say it one more time, product feedback. We are looking very important. Please do tell us. We want to know more. We always want to know more. So please do share. All right, so let's get started in the Q&A. All right. let's see, I'm just pulling up the list.
I can start. I think I see a couple questions here. When you asked, will the tip jar money go to the event organizer or to the organizer of the group? Great question. The way that it's currently set up right now is that it's the organizer of the group who will be connecting their bank account, their Stripe account to where the donations are being made. So it will be to the organizer of the group, at least from this particular, the way that we're releasing it right now, but we're open to feedback if there's a use case for why it should go to the event organizer. And then there was another question too, I think on the tip jar. So I'll talk a little bit about that. The question from Anonymous is, can the tip jar be used for some group events and not used for other group events, like paid events? Right now, we don't have that configuration just yet. Right now, it's a general sort of like tip jar for everything, but you do have the ability to sort of throttle it on or off if at any given point in time. So you can have it be shown up on your event or group pages for specific moments in time. And then if you want to disable it, you can certainly do that as well. We expect to continue to build more robust features into this. So if that's a particular use case where you'd like to turn it off for paid events, we can certainly take that into consideration.
Great. Thanks, Prerna. There is a question here. The payment process for paid RSVPs remains clunky. Improvements have not taken place. Are improvements planned for RSVP payments or for subscription payments? Which will such improvements be available for members in Canada? This also came in from someone anonymous. Yes, so this is a really important part. We actually did already start making initiatives on our back end in relationship to working with our provider in order to improve these. We are continuously going to be looking to enhance those. We know that this is a critical part of our systems, and we are looking to shape this in every sprint and every quarter as we go through that. We know without this, it wouldn't be a working feature. We will not just make this improvement just for folks in Canada, but in all the international locations that we support. We want to make sure that the subscription payments and RSVP payments all work 100% of the time. Prerna, there was one question here that I think the organizers, will they be able to will event organizers be able to use the org app?
Yes, anyone that has a leadership role in the org will be able to download the org app and be able to log in and see the groups that they are on the leadership team for and use the org app to organize. Good question.
Todd, you had a question. Is there any effort underway at Meetup to assist groups find free, affordable in-person meeting places? There's a constant source of anxiety and prevents my group from meeting more often. Great question, Todd. Prerna and I actually are working on looking at venue options that can help organizers more easily find different areas that is both location friendly with members and the organizers to allow those things to be discoverable. We are actually working with a few external partners to evaluate which ones would work. We're looking at building POCs to evaluate this and before we push it live. So we are actually actively working on this today. And hopefully by the next update that we share, we can share the results and I'm promising something that we'll always look to undertake, whether on our own or with a partnership. But we do realize that's a critical, important part. All right. Prerna, there's a question about, does event chat keep personal info private? I can take that, but I can let you take that too.
Go for it.
Okay, yes. So the event chat is more meant for the chatting features. The actual PAI data and all of those things will continue to be safe and secure in our systems and not going to be exposed. So we took that under consideration for chat. So if you're worried about, well, all my personal information or other data things with respect to our terms and existing rules, they will all stay the same. So nothing to be afraid of here. It's just to encourage conversation between the organizers and members in an active way.
And everything is contained within our platform. So whatever has, whatever information is already available on, let's say, your public profile, it'll be there. But we're not No emails, phone numbers, or anything will be shared unless, of course, the user decides to share it directly in the chat themselves. But we're not sharing anything outside of that.
Mhm. All right. All right. This one is Rajib. So I guess I'll take this one. Interesting question about the Canadian border. Of course, the border constraint is not relevant for online events. Is there ongoing unique search strategy philosophy for online events starting to take shape at Meetup? The answer to that is 100% yes. We are actually updating all of our models to be able to better utilize online versus not online events. As well as how groups look at that. And the simple example I can share is think of a hiking group that wants to do things outdoors, right? That is very different from a technology blockchain conference where people are planning to do that online. So how ranking and relevance plays a big role based on the categories, based on the event types and things that we have are being included in our data science methodologies to be able to make sure that relevance is preserved and the best results are shown. So those are things that we're actively working on to make sure that it enhances our results.
There's a question here, will event chat replace event comments? Great question. You know, I'll answer truthfully, which is that I think our goal with event chat is to eventually streamline a lot of the different sort of communication tools that we have currently in place that are not, honestly, in my opinion, the greatest in the world. And with event chat, I'm really hoping we have some really robust functionality that encourages communication amongst members and organizers. So the goal is eventually that we want to find a way to be able to, you know, declutter, if you will, these the current tools that exist and introduce better, more robust features. But that's why we want to spend time learning and understanding how folks are using event chat, make sure that it suffices for the predominant number of use cases before we choose to deprecate anything. So there is a long-term plan there, but right now our focus is rolling out event chat, making sure that it works and it does the job and does it well, truth be told, before we make any major moves on the rest of the comms tools.
Right. All right, I think we have time for one or two more. So there's an important one here that's a, can you talk about capping and throttling? It seems that the product is evolving in the wrong direction where we have less ways to properly communicate with members. Oh no, we don't want to do that. Members don't check notifications. All messages should go to the email inbox. So thank you for this great question. Yes, it's very important for us that as notifications go out that they get delivered to the intended parties at all time. And we're going to continue to make sure that happens. Today, when event reminders, when our suggested suggested events and different types of templates go out, there is no capping whatsoever on those. The only time that capping can come into a conversation is when you have members that are getting thousands of emails a day for different groups that they have signed up for. They're not actively looking at these things. They don't want to get so many emails and have informed us directly that they don't want to. We take special mechanisms to be able to solve for that. But in terms of as capping for or any type of throttling that's happening, for our email to notification strategy, what we're looking to do is make sure that the emails get delivered to the intended parties at all times. As long as they are active on our platform and they want the emails, we will make sure that it gets to them. One of the things that I want to just talk through this is that there's a balance between when the member goes into their settings and they disable specific options where they don't want these emails. When they trigger that to us, these are some things that we always have to respect. And through the preferences, which we're going to make improve the UI to make those things a lot more obvious, we're going to make sure we always respect those rules that come there. Today, the only place that I think we've tried some capping rules is when there's excessive emails that go through event announce and nothing else on anywhere else. And those we're just looking to help solve it for the member concerns as well as respecting the organizer rules that they want. That was a little long, but I think it was a really important area that I think we've had a lot of questions on. So I wanted to make sure I spent a little bit of time talking through that.
Yeah, but to be clear though, if someone wants a notification and they have not turned it off, then by all means, we want to make sure we respect that too, and we send those notifications out. By no means are we actually trying to prevent anyone from getting less messages than they actually want to. So this is really anytime you've heard about throttling, it has I think it's been taken a little bit out of context. It has really been about folks that just don't want to hear from us as much as we've been sending them emails. So hopefully that should clear that up as well.
Mhm. All right. There was one, I can take one more question. How do you see Meetup making the use of Web3/the blockchain? This is still something that we're chatting through. We don't know yet if it makes sense for us on those areas. We always look at blockchain and how it can be leveraged. As of this point, there's nothing really there that we've seen, but we'll continue to evaluate that as we go forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you all again for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.